Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wonder if Ike was on that policy.
So I wonder if you were like a famous,
Ike.
Oh, if Ike was on that, hopefully not.
You think he was on the policy?
I hope not. He was long gone by then.
This
was during the Dirty Dance.
I finna kneecap you just to get that $1 million. I finna kneecap you.
Oh no, not Tina.
Tina,
come on, man.
Ike and Tina.
Was she saying "Proud Mary"?
Oh man, big wheels keep on turning.
There was nothing better than that.
Mary, keep on.
First, we're gonna sing it nice and soft. But then we're going to sing it like we sing it because we don't do nothing nice and soft. She looked over at Ike, and he was like, that's right. I'll beat your ass.
I'll beat your ass.
I'll beat your ass.
He probably threw a B in there, too.
He probably did. Shout out Tina Turner.
Hey, shout out Tina Turner.
She was great.
Shout out Ike's pimp hand. It was strong.
It was strong. He had a strong pimp hand that he did. Ike Turner.
Pimp hand.
Bad as it was, though, would they have been successful? Would we be knowing who would we be knowing? Would we be sitting here talking about?
Hey, I understood everything you said.
Right.
We be knowing.
But would we be here talking about Tina Turner had it not been for Ike?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Doesn't make it okay.
No, not at all.
But
hey,
he did throw that pimp hand
Ike
down.
was the key to her success.
He was.
You ever seen her in what was that movie, man? 2 men enter, 1 man leave. They was in the Thunderdome. Was it Mad Max? You know she was in the
Mad Max?
Yeah. With Mel Gibson.
I've never seen the Mad Max movies.
The 2 man enter, 1 man leave.
1 man leaves.
You go into the damn Thunderdome, get your ass whooped. Luckily, hopefully you make it out alive.
Tina Turner was in that.
Tina Turner was like the queen of that whole organization.
I could see Tina Turner as the queen of an organization.
Yeah. That was amazing.
Especially a male-dominated organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she could most definitely do that.
Hey, she had her damn
Beyond Thunderdome.
Had her damn gators on their necks. She just died last year. Yeah, she just passed away.
Yeah, it was recently. How old was she? 71? 83.
83.
She aged well.
That's a pretty.
Well, you know what they say.
Life. Where'd she die at? Yeah, she went to Europe or something. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. She left. She left the States.
Was it a choice for her to die at that time? She go somewhere where assisted suicide is.
Got a choice.
I mean, you can have assisted suicide though. There's places in the United States where you can go and
what they call that when you they trying to make that legal. Assisted suicide.
What was Dr. Kevorkian?
Dr. Kevorkian.
He was the Michigan doctor that was he went to prison several times for helping his patients die in a humane way as they got old. Several times. He would go and then he'd get out for something.
So it wasn't no secret. He was offing people.
Oh yeah, it was called Dr. Death, Dr. Kevorkian. Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah. I'm surprised you guys don't remember that name. I'm sure there was a Saturday Night Live skit.
Dr. Kevorkian.
I'm sure there was a Saturday Night Live skit.
He sounded like somebody to help you die.
He looked like somebody who would help you die too. Do what?
I want to say Jim Carrey played him.
Okay.
Yeah, I could see Jim Carrey doing Dr. Kevorkian. Yeah.
Kevorkian.
Yeah. He was in his 80s and still going to jail for helping people.
How is he still practicing though? After he's getting locked up, then he'll come back. They want to take.
I want to say they took his license and he still was providing his services. I don't know how he got access to drugs or what have you, but I want to say that I don't know. I'm not
assisted suicide.
This ain't stuff you should know. Stuff you should know.
I mean, if you're ready to go, you're ready to go. I think it should be your choice.
I think so too.
Say I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
Cause of death natural, but details were not shared.
Wow.
Okay.
Dr. Kevorkian.
Yeah.
That's Tina Turner?
Okay. Well, it's in Switzerland, so it says natural causes on the internet, which, I'm sure.
I bet she did her share of partying too.
Tina Turner?
I guarantee she done her share of partying.
I'm sure.
She lived a full life.
Wow.
Tina Turner.
Well, she outlived Whitney Houston anyway.
Man, yes, she did.
That woman was on
She outlived Whitney.
She was on a torpedo track straight down. But you know what? She was brought up in a very, very strict religious environment.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody wonders, why did she, what was with her and Bobby Brown? He was such an ass. He treated her bad. He smacked her around. All those things are true, but he was freedom from an oppressively religious environment, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that's what she saw in him, a rebellion at first from, the BS that oppressive religious environments put on you.
Mm-hmm.
And then she liked that party life.
I guess so. She liked it a little too much.
I can relate.
She probably had access to some of the best drugs too.
That's that was the problem.
Yeah, she had the
the
pharmaceutical medical grade stuff, not that street level
heroin.
Cut down,
that real heroin. You didn't have to worry about it.
It's probably 1%.
Wasn't no fentanyl in that.
That fluff, that filler, as they call it, the filler.
I don't even know what her drug of choice was. I want to say cocaine.
Probably cocaine.
But that's what
cocaine's a rich person's drug.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Cocaine. They say cocaine's a hell of a drug.
You ever do it too?
According to them, no. What's my boy, Rick James?
I'm Rick James, bitch. Remember the Chappelle show?
Cocaine was a hell of a drug. Who that, Rick James?
You talking about that country boy? He was talking about Redstone Arsenal on that. Something about, I don't take a toot anymore, but I just might I don't do cocaine anymore, but I might take a toot.
But I might take a toot.
It's in the guy, he mentions Redstone Arsenal in it. I don't know if he's from Huntsville or what have you, but yeah, I know the thing you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I said it like that, take a toot. I didn't think you'd get that reference, though. Yeah.
Take a toot.
It's like a country boy, and he's talking about, I don't do cocaine anymore, but I might take a toot for lunch or whatever. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's very funny. Yeah, you should look that up on YouTube sometime.
Man, I got some crackhead stories.
Crackhead stories?
Oh, man.
Hey, let's open the show and then tell us one.
I had a crackhead that liked me.
You had
that every time she saw me, she was like, Q, I do it for free for you. She used to prostitute herself to support her habit. Right. But whenever she would see me, she was like, Q, I won't even charge you.
She would offer you a freebie.
She offered me a freebie. She's like,
give you a coupon?
I do it just because I like you.
Did she write you a coupon, maybe like with some crayon or something?
Legit
one free
coupon.
Coupon.
No, a coupon. She would tell me this. She was a crackhead from. She was one of those damn. I'm gonna say refugee, but after Hurricane Katrina, a lot of people from Louisiana came to Georgia after Hurricane Katrina.
A lot of them came here.
2005, 2006.
Yeah, whenever that was.
I can't remember whatever year. I think 2005, maybe.
Somewhere in there.
When I met her.
Okay.
And I was, I was visiting some people that was in nefarious activities, not that I was, but.
Sure. One makes certain acquaintances.
I still had friends. Yeah, I still had acquaintances.
Friends in low places.
In low places, yes. And I can't even remember this lady's name, and everyone knew she was a crackhead, but every time I come to the hood, she's like, hey, Q, you get it for free, basically. No charge. You so cute. She'll flirt with me.
Just pay shipping and handling.
Just pay, nothing.
You got to get her high.
She just wanted me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man,
I wasn't that desperate.
Crackheads need love, too. I wasn't that
desperate at the time.
Right.
Yeah. That's my crackhead story.
Crackheads need love, too. That's all I'm saying.
I had a crackhead in love with me.
Well.
I wish I could remember her name.
Did you ever know? You knew her name at one point?
I did know her name at one point. Because I would see her weekly. Weekly. She was a neighborhood crackhead.
Crackhead Kathy.
And you knew what she was doing, to support that habit. You didn't have a job, but
you always had crack.
You was always smoking a lot of crack.
Somewhere. Yeah.
Where are you getting this money? So she was participating in the oldest profession.
I used to have a friend that smoked crack.
Okay.
I knew he smoked crack. But he always had a job and took care. It's like
he was a functional crackhead.
Like a functional crackhead, yeah. And one time, he announced to me that he didn't have money for crack anymore, so he's going to switch to meth.
But I can't afford crack, but I can afford meth.
I had to cut ties then. I'm like, okay, well, if you can't afford your drug of choice, you don't get a even worse ripoff. You just don't do your drugs anymore.
Right.
Like if you don't have steak money, then don't buy a bottle of wine or whatever. I don't know what the analogy was. I just had to say.
I guess the market value of meth was a lot cheaper than crack at the time.
I guess, yeah. This person's gone seriously downhill since then, as I predicted would happen. If you have to accept
you start smoking the meth.
A street substitute for the already really dangerous drug that you're doing because you can't afford it, and rather than quit, you start doing street drugs.
Crack is a street drug.
I guess it is. Listen, I've never smoked crack
I
or
guess
meth.
it's levels of street
So-
drugs. You know, it's levels. It's levels to this. It's levels to
Go
it.
figure,
Shane.
man. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
levels.
All I know is when you look around, you see a crackhead or a meth head, they do not look like the person I want to be. So I've never tried.
No.
I've never. Even my friend that smoked crack,
I mean,
he'd be like,
if I had
"Do
to
you
be,
want to try
if I-
some?" And I
if
would
I
say,
had to be
"No."
one, I'd be the crackhead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, see,
least,
there you go.
you know,
There's levels up.
You
And
grow
when-
up with like that's the neighborhood crackhead. I've been knowing him 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
might be around 20 years.
He might be around 20, 30 years.
The
A
meth
meth
head won't.
don't last long.
No, they're not going to be around 20
That's
30
life
years.
in the fast
Yep.
lane. You know, the crackhead, you in like the HOV lane, you know. The
You'll probably just keep cruising
yeah, you
indefinitely.
just keep cruising indefinitely. That damn
Eventually you
meth
get-
head is
yeah.
man, you meet the end of that
Yeah.
road real fast.
You know, and you see that about cokeheads. There's two kinds of cokeheads: dead ones or ones that quit.
Mm-hmm.
If it's one of those things that you do and you can't quit it, then it'll get you every
Or
time.
you want like a recreational coke.
What was
I've known a lot of recreational cokeheads.
back
you
in the
know,
day? I
at a
knew
party,
some. Yeah.
You know, on the weekends.
Just do it every
you know,
now and
we,
then.
We take that toot,
But
or that bump as you.
it's just like alcohol. Some people
Mhm.
can drink socially and be okay, and some people can't. And I think coke is that same way.
Yeah. Them people on them slopes.
I'm
That's what we used to call them, man.
on the slopes.
I'm on the slopes. My boy, I had a boy, you know, I knew his problem was he got high off his own supply.
Yep.
And every time I
Yep.
saw him, he was high. And I'm looking at him like, man, how you supposed to make some money if you doing all your damn drugs?
And high all the time. You
he
can't
said,
be
man,
high all the time.
He'd
It'd
tell
be-
me, man, I've been skiing all night.
Because
Because he's like, man, I've been up on them slopes, eyes
On them
bugged
slopes.
out. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
Wow.
bro, you need to chill. You know?
Yeah.
So
It's funny how addiction grabs some people in different ways than it does other
it
people.
does. I think I would make a great drug dealer.
Because you probably don't have that addictive
I don't
gene.
have that addictive
No, I
gene.
don't think
and I
so.
don't like being high.
Right.
You know, that's why I just be a good producer. Or not producer. I guess that's the
Distributor?
Kevin's the producer. Yeah,
Kevin's the producer.
I be distribution. Intro.
Kevin the Boss Man says,
Hey, what you say? He's keeping us on time and in line.
On-
You
keep-
had a line in one of those
I
episodes.
remember
was
hearing
like,
it,
I liked
too.
it. I was like, damn.
keeping us in line, keeping us on time.
Keeping us on time.
Yep. Kevin the producer man, the Boss Man Richardson.
Uh-huh.
Shout out that 86 Kids
Shout out
studio.
that 86 Kids studio. We just get the damn rambling. It'd be 20 minutes in before we even introduce
We wouldn't even
ourselves.
do an intro if we didn't have we'd forget who we are.
We just get the rambling.
Well, it feels different somehow this week than it has in a while. We met last week and then we skipped the week before that for the birth of Q's child. But I don't know. It feels like a different. I think it's because it's really cold outside now. I mean, it's really wintertime. It was actually pretty warm today.
Today was nice.
But it's most definitely wintertime now. And I've been outdoors, as they say, for a couple of weeks now, whether it's going to shows or doing different things.
Mhm.
Anyways, intro.
Why not?
I'm rambling during the intro. Q, give us a little something, man. Keep me on track here. Go ahead.
Keep me on track.
Let me sip my Perrier
Your Perrier.
with my pinky finger in the air as I do.
Your Perrier. Your carbonated water.
It's a sparkling beverage.
A sparkling beverage. I'm Q the Messenger, and I'm here with Shane the Brain Knox, and we also have our illustrious producer, Kevin the Boss Man Richardson. This is season 3, episode 3, 5, 4, 3,
5.
2,
Episode 5.
Episode 5.
Season 3, episode 5. Who'd have thunk
So
it?
this is 5, and we live and in color.
Live and in
And this
color.
is Vendor Chronicles,
Live number 5.
where the truth is stranger than fiction.
Always stranger than fiction.
Always.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We already started, though. We
Yeah.
started early.
Yeah.
If you guys could hear,
I think people still like to hear that intro, though.
I think
People
so
still
too.
like to, I think if you've been listening now, you know who we are.
We need
by
we
now.
need to come up with something. I don't. My wife Jessica suggested maybe we do like a recorded intro and do it. Have it coming in every time. I don't know about that. Kind of like doing something different.
Yeah.
I'm gonna think of something. I'm gonna come up with something fun for next week. When we come
different-
next
it's
week, I'm
different,
gonna have
but I know last week I
I'm gonna
did
have
like
an
the
intro.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
I liked it.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Ready to rumble. Guys, we got an idea. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is because one of you knuckleheads out there would steal it from us.
Loose lips sink ships.
Sink ships. But
Don't
we
tell
have an
them,
idea
Shane.
for something.
Loose lips. Your lips are
Y'all will
looking
have forgotten
loose.
I said it before the thing
Tie
happens.
your lips
but
up, Shane.
stay tuned. Tie your lips.
Tie your lips up. They get loose.
We got involved in the conversation of an idea. And I suppose when we started this podcast, my wife asked me what was my goal. And I said to open my mind and expand my process of thought and to expose myself to thoughts and ideas that maybe I wouldn't have come up with on my own. And we just got done talking about one. So, so far it's a success. It's not about money. Although if you guys want to support us.
You talking the podcast or the idea that we came up with?
All of the above.
All of the above. Okay.
All of the above.
Okay.
You know, I think sometimes we get so caught up in how much money can we make. I'll be honest with you, I'm not making a whole lot of money right now.
I'm definitely not.
I got to be honest with you.
Season.
I am the happiest I've ever been in any point in my life right now.
And making the least
money has nothing to do with
the least amount of money.
You need to have enough to pay the bills and to eat.
Correct.
You know, and that's, you know, in our case, that's always a struggle. It's something we're always working towards. But it doesn't have anything to do with how happy you are.
The money aspect.
How much money you have. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I've been everything from plenty of money to no money at all to be way worse broke than I am now. You know, at this point in my life, even if I'm broke, I still have assets. But it doesn't affect how happy I am.
Where is that happiness coming from?
Oh, a lot of places.
Okay.
A lot of places.
Give me one.
Well, right here, sitting here with you fellas.
Oh.
Y'all fellas. This has become an important part of my life.
I feel special.
You should feel special, man. If I like you, you know you should feel special.
I feel special.
Because I don't like hardly anybody.
You like nobody. Like, what's that
asshole.
song? He was like, if my, what did he say? If my mom don't like you and she likes everybody, what does that say?
Oh, what does that say?
I can't think of what song that is, you know, but he kind of has a line like that, you know, talking about a girl. Bieber? I think it might be Justin Bieber. And she likes everybody.
Oh, okay.
If Shane likes you and he don't like nobody, let's just reverse that.
Yeah, there you go.
And he don't like nobody.
The list of people I don't like is very long. But you know, all right, you brought up a song. There was a song by who was the Eagle? Boys of Summer, Don Henley.
Hotel California.
There you go.
That's
Hotel
all I can think of when you say
Welcome
Eagle.
to the Hotel California.
Hey, such a lovely place.
Such a lovely face.
That's a good song.
It is a good song. It's been overplayed though. But Don Henley, during his solo career after the Eagles, wrote and performed a song called Learn to Be Still. It's a cheesy song. But it kind of is about having some experience in life and learning how to just kind of take a step back and enjoy what you do have and enjoy how wonderful the world is, really. And as cheesy as that sounds, you know, I was talking to somebody about it recently about what a wonderful world we live in today, right now. I know we got problems.
Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World.
Oh, that was that Louis Armstrong?
Yeah, that's Louis.
With his gravelly voice, that's right.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. It's a great song.
Yeah, I say to myself,
what a wonderful world.
Yeah, I see trees of green.
Oh, you got it right there.
Red roses too.
I love it. But really, you know, we live in a time when we can see pictures from all over the world. No, you good. And I think it's beautiful.
I think it is. It is a beautiful world, man.
Like Louis Armstrong.
It's a good time to be alive.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That's a beautiful song.
You do a good Louis Armstrong.
You think so?
I think so. Better than mine, so there you go.
Oh, man.
I only got myself to compare it to, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I've gotten to the age now where I understand that I'm trying to live a life rather than work a job. You know, it's like in my younger years, it was all about whatever employment I had, you know, and trying to make as much cash as I could. And I never made a ton, anyways. Could have done a better job of that.
Right.
But now I stay busy doing things I want to do.
Oh man, how
and I try to mesh those with the things that are going to make enough money. Enough of the things that I want to do have to make me enough money to be able to support myself and my family. And as long as that's the case, And so now when I play 18 holes of disc golf, I don't feel any kind of negative way. I don't feel like I could have been doing something more productive. I feel like that's as productive as I could. Now when I sit down and spend an entire morning doing nothing but playing with Madeline, I don't feel like I've wasted that time.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't feel like I've invested it. I just feel like I've lived it. I tried to really hard be in the moment, and I try to live my life in the moment, and that makes me happy. Long answer to your question, plus some songs, but there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good answer.
I've learned to be still.
Learn to be still.
Yep. A good book.
Learn to be still. You said that was performed by
Don Henley,
lead singer of the Eagles.
Would he be called the lead singer?
What was he?
Drummer for sure.
The drummer? Okay,
Yeah,
he was a
he played
drummer of the
drums,
Eagles. Okay.
And he also sang an awful lot with the Eagles. But I mean, you also had Glenn Frey singing, and you had what's his name, Joe Walsh.
I don't know. I know Joe Walsh
Did an
because
album.
Joe Walsh ended up going solo, didn't he?
His
at one
first
point?
solo album had a song on it called "The Confessor." I think the album was called "The Confessor," and I was pretty enamored with it as a
Joe
teenager.
Walsh was the guitar parent, wasn't he?
He played guitar, yes. I think he played.
What's the Joe Walsh song I like where he talks about how he lost his license?
Oh yeah,
And what song is that? I love that song.
Life's been good to me so far.
Yes,
Life's been good to me so far.
Oh yeah, yes.
Bom, bom, bom,
That's a good song.
bom, 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 bom,
Mhm.
bom.
Mm-hmm.
I live in hotels, tear out the walls.
Tear out the walls. Yes.
I have accountants pay for it all.
Yes.
I got a limo right in the back.
Mm-hmm.
I lock my doors in case I'm attacked. Life's been good to me so far.
Yes, Joe Walsh.
Yeah, Joe Walsh.
Shout out Joe Walsh.
Shout out Joe Walsh.
Is he still kicking?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him and Don Henley couldn't get along was what started the beginning of the end of the Eagles. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. I forgot all about that song.
Life's been good to me so far. Can you say that? Who can say that? Who's out there listening can say life's been good to me?
I'll raise my hand straight up high in the air. Life's been good to me.
I think if you woke up this morning, life's been good to you.
I think so. At 53 years old
You
to
got
have made it
another
this
opportunity?
far. Yeah.
Yes. Think how many people didn't make it to 53?
I mean, I drove a car off a cliff one time.
We heard the story.
And I'm still here kicking.
You still
You
here.
know what I'm saying?
You drove a
So-
car off a cliff backwards.
Backwards. That's what
he
saved
didn't
my
just drive
life,
the
but-
boat off the cliff. He drove it off the cliff backwards.
I had to put my own style into it. I said, you know what? Burt Reynolds drove a car off a cliff frontwards.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to flip this
I'm
bad boy
gonna
around.
take
Let me
this thing
whip it around one time.
backwards, Man. Oh, my goodness.
Man, listen, if I had any conscious thought during that whole process, there's no way.
Mhm.
By the time what was happening, I was completely along for the ride. I had
Yeah.
You can say you're going to do this and such. When something happens, you probably not.
Right.
Something happens so fast you don't even know. You ever
Oh,
wreck a
man.
motorcycle?
Yes.
Seldom do you know
Did I tell
what's
that
happening.
story
until
that
it's
I damn slid off that bike I was doing about 20 miles an hour, 15, 20 in the parking lot. And I hit that patch of gravel.
I think you told me. I don't know if you told it on
I don't know if I told it on the
on the
podcast, but
podcast.
basically I had a Gixxer 1000. And
That's a bad bike.
I was living in Missouri at the time. So in Missouri we get a lot of bad weather.
Sure.
And then I was just chomping at the bit to ride this motorcycle. We got a break on the weather one day. And this is out there done snowed, they done salted, and put that sand mix on the streets, you know what I'm saying? And like that day it just happened to warm up to like above freezing. Where the streets were slick, but they were clean.
And passable.
Wasn't
at least.
ice.
Right.
And I was like, man, I was going to this school that was only like 15 minutes from the house. I was like, I'm just going to stretch the legs on the bike today.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I can deal with, let's say 35 degree.
Sure.
I bundled up real good. And so I get on the bike, head out on my way to school like it ain't nothing. I get to where the parking lot is for the building that I'm about to go into. And so I cut the corner sharp, coming into that parking lot, but I stayed to the inside of my turn coming into that parking lot. And then the inside of that turn, a bunch of sediment, gravel, salt, sand,
All the above.
all
Yeah,
the
sure.
above done
Yeah.
built up. And so I'm at a good angle, coming into that parking lot doing about 15, 20.
Sure.
And it's like soon as I hit that damn that inside corner of that turn, right where it curves into the parking lot,
Caught that patch.
I caught that patch just right, and that front tire just went zip, just that quick.
Oh, the front tire went out.
The front tire went out.
When you lose
The
your
front tire went out, and
that happens so fast. There's nothing you can do.
I was picking myself up off the ground before I even realized what happened.
Yep.
Luckily it wasn't no cars coming out of the parking lot because my bike would have slid up under whatever car would have been coming out. You know, the bike still slid. Shoot, I would say 20 yards maybe. The bike slid.
What'd that cost you? What'd that cost you for those new fairings?
I have frame sliders. So all I broke was the rear brake lever. I dented up the handlebar a little bit. Right. The front brake lever.
Break the end off of the lever.
The end off the lever and just, caught the edge of the handlebar. I had like some metal pieces on the end of the handlebar too, so those got all stretched up. But the frames were clean. The frames still were clean.
Frame sliders did a job. Nice.
I ruined the helmet. I had a full face helmet on. But if I didn't have that helmet on, I would have lost my jaw.
Oh yeah.
Because when I fell right on my chin.
Face,
right on my chin. Right on the chin. If I didn't have that full face that took the brunt of it.
Yeah, I'm a believer in a full face helmet.
Oh man. I definitely would have grind some meat off and probably lost some teeth if I didn't have that full face helmet on.
A full face helmet just only makes sense in just in general. If you've ever gotten hit in the neck with a bug or something like that, you get hit in the mouth with one or whatever. That you're supposed to be riding to have a good time.
Correct, but
if you don't have a full face,
I've had we call them brain buckets.
Yeah.
And for a short trip like that, I probably would have put the brain bucket on if it was summertime.
Really? Okay.
Because I wasn't going far. I wasn't doing no high speeds.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was probably doing 20 at most.
Yep.
And maybe the highs I got up to was probably 50 going to the school.
But I dare somebody to slide down the pavement at 20 mile an hour, even with clothes on. And then think about that's your jaw.
Oh my
sliding
goodness.
on the pavement at 20. Yeah, that's brutal.
But yeah, that's my one and only time I've really been down. Now I done been riding with guys, and I used to have a bike that didn't have no mirrors on it because in Missouri you didn't have to have mirrors, or turn signals on your bike.
Oh wow!
To ride, and I'm leading the pack, and I lost this guy 5 minutes down the road before I looked back and seen that he wasn't behind me. Man, I turned around, I started going back. I'm worried. I'm looking for him, man. We miles out. We like an hour away from home. Because we looking for the curvies. The twisties.
Course,
we going out. Those the roads we're seeking.
Always looking for the twisties.
Man, I get about 5 miles backtracked. He's in the damn ditch, leaned up against the side of the bike.
Damn.
Busted up. I mean, he wasn't busted up to where he couldn't ride home, ride the bike back home, but that guy never rode me again.
Really?
Yeah, he's like, dude, I'm done riding with you.
Well, you
he's like, I'm not try to keep up with you. I was like, dude, why would you keep up with me anyway? Ride your ride.
Yeah. Oh, ride your ride.
Ride your ride.
If you ride motorcycles, ride your ride.
Ride your ride.
That's number one.
Yep.
You ever do the dragon?
Never done a dragon, man. I want to.
Ooh.
And if I did do it, I don't know if I'd do it on a bike. I don't know. I would like to do it in a car and a bike. Because what's it like, 300 turns in 10 miles?
318 curves in 11 miles.
In 11 miles. Yeah.
I wouldn't want to. It's what is it? Tennessee, North Carolina line?
I think so. Yep.
Highway 127.
The Tennessee, North Carolina line.
You cross into North Carolina on the road.
Yep.
I've been up there. When you see cars trying to take it, they're never staying in the lines. And I would be so afraid as driving a car
coming around a car as in your done.
I'm much more afraid that I would be the one in the car and I would cross over the line and take out a biker. I'd never forgive myself for that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas on a bike, okay, if you cross the line on the bike, I'm probably still going to, unless you come all the way over. But if I got room, I can probably still get around you unless I'm at a full lean. And I learned a long time ago, I'm not at a full lean on this, no, I'll get close enough. I'll drop a knee every now and then.
You ever hit a peg on the full lean?
Yeah.
Did it make your butthole pucker up?
Yeah.
Because the bike want to stand back up. You hit that peg, the bike,
if you get
especially depending on the curve.
They got folding pegs, of course. Any sport bike's going to have folding pegs, but once you get it leaned over that much, if you look at that fold geometry, the way it goes, it wants to pick that rear wheel off.
Yep.
And that's
that bike stand up on you.
The first time you get a knee down is scary as hell, though. Especially if you weren't practicing or planning on it.
You're like, man, this is violating all physics. It's violating every bit of physics.
You feel like you should not be able to turn that fast.
You should not be able to do that.
There's no way you should be able to have that much pressure and still sticking to the road. It really is a. But then once you learn you can.
Yep.
There's very few more seductive things than a really fast motorcycle.
Ooh, seductive. You right though.
There's very little that is more, when it comes to adrenaline or, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
The twist of a throttle.
3 seconds if you're just playing around. I mean, you accidentally, I used to ride a Hayabusa to work every day. For our listeners, if you don't know that, Hayabusa is a super fast motorcycle. And so there was a particular spot, I won't say where, but there's a red light. You stop at the red light, and then from that red light, you cross over 565, and then there's probably a 290-degree curve, fun little curve, right? But if you're on the motorcycle, if you're not the lead guy, the person in front of you is definitely not taking it as fast as you would like to take it. Mm-hmm. And so it's not very fun to take the curve. So you need to get off of that light and get out in front of everybody, which is not going to be a problem.
Correct.
Not on a super fast bike. So I'm sitting at that traffic light one morning, just minding my own business. Light turns green. I didn't even try and get on it fast because I'm faster than the guy next to me, whatever he's riding, right? So anyways, I just pop it down and, take off, and I accelerate a little bit to get in front of this guy, and I hear his engine and realize he's wound out. And I look over, and it's somebody in one of those little Volkswagen GTI, I guess they're kind of quick for a car or whatever.
Right.
And I realize he's got it wound out, and he's trying to beat me to the curve. So I just give it about an extra 30-second of a twist. And beat him into it and lay into the curve. And by the time I hit the highway, I'm doing $120 or so, and he's way back in my mirror, right? This goes on like another week later. I'm at that same traffic light, and I look over, and it's that same guy.
Oh, man.
In that same little black GTI.
Challenge.
And he's looking at me.
Yeah, challenge.
And he's revving his engine. He's revving his engine. I'm on a Hayabusa. Mm-hmm. He's revving his engine at me on a GTI.
Challenge.
So the light turns green, right?
Did he give you like the whole finger thing? Like,
no, like with I see you.
Like
thing.
I see you. Like,
no, but he was looking right
holding
on me like he thought he might be able to do something with me, right?
Uh-huh.
When the light turned green, I didn't even have it in gear yet.
Okay.
He takes off spinning his front tires, and I drop it down into gear, and I pull up to him. Now, mind you, he's full throttle, of course, but this, bike against car, it's no,
Mm-hmm.
I pull up next to him, and I look over at him, and I see he realizes that he's beat. And I just gave it a twist and power wheeled it into the curve, and then laid it down. And then I got on it hard at the end of the curve. When he got to the highway and got around and saw me, I was going to be way ahead of him. Yeah. I never saw the guy.
I never seen him again. Yeah, he was like,
if he ever came up next to me at that light, I'm sure
not going to that light no more. He probably still don't even go to that
takes
light.
A different route.
He takes a whole different route.
But if you don't understand the power to weight ratio difference between riding a motorcycle and driving a car, you might think you got a chance against a bike.
What would you say the average age of motorcycle riders?
Oh, just across the board?
Across the board, the average age in America.
I think it's getting older.
It's getting way older.
I think it's probably...
I bet the average age is in the 40s probably. Even if we did a Google search, I bet the average got to be in the 40s.
I bet it's in the 30s.
No. It's definitely older than that.
You think?
Yeah. You don't see young people ride motorcycles.
30...
Young people barely get their driver's license.
33.
I'm giving it 43.
Mr. Producer?
Mr. Producer looking it up.
I hear the keys clacking already. Let's see if we get a definitive
I'm giving it definitely 43. Young people they barely drive, let alone get on a motorcycle.
I think that's true. I think they want to drive less than we did.
Uh-oh.
This is from 2018.
From 2018.
The article came out in 2023.
Okay.
The median age of motorcycle riders in the U.S., 50.
50. Wow. I can believe it. I said 43, and I thought I was being
50.
Generous with my number.
That's very interesting.
The average age of motorcycle riders are 50.
Male, 19% female.
Yep. I can see that.
81% male. I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
35% married.
What's the youngest person you could think of a motorcycle?
That's a good point.
Who's the youngest
person
person you
know
know
a 15-year-old
ride a
real bad that wants to buy one of my motorcycles, but she doesn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess maybe you're right.
Who would be the youngest person?
I think part of that, too, though, I would be interested to see those numbers qualified between motorcycle owners and motorcycle riders. Because, there's a lot of people out there, engineers making, X amount of dollars a year that have a Harley in the garage.
Yeah, that just collects dust.
Pull out 3 times a year and ride
Correct.
some kind of stupid Trail of Tears or some dumb shit, and they call themselves, I'm a biker. Woo, I got brand new chaps on.
Yeah.
I got my brand new thing. No scuffs on my boots. Well, you're not a rider if there's no scuffs on your boots. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more posers.
Ooh, a pose.
I think there's a lot more posers out there than riders, and those folks are dangerous. Those people are dangerous. That's why look, people. If you're going to ride motorcycles, don't go ride in one of those big rides.
Posing.
The amateur ride they call from the, whatever it is. What is it? My favorite, the poker runs.
The poker runs.
We're going to do a poker run to all the strip clubs in Madison County. We're going to ride from one. We're going to drink 2 beers, and we're going to ride to another one. We're going to drink 2 beers and see some titties, and we're going to ride.
I wish you could see the face shades, baby.
Man, I hate that shit. I hate that crap.
Do yourself a poker run.
Do a poker run.
We get a card. Yeah, it's like 5 places, right? Like they actually playing a hand of poker. That's why they call it a poker run.
You're playing a hand of
so
poker.
Every stop you make, you get a card. You pull a random card. And then who has the best hand at the end, right? That's
whoever has the best hand at the end wins the prize. Yeah,
whatever prize they have.
Motorcycles, women tend to be safer.
Women are safer on motorcycles? I mean,
I'd like to know how that stat is derived.
I don't know. I wouldn't call women a safer driver.
I think women are safer drivers. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh.
Men.
Here's the thing. Go.
When we wreck cars, we wreck them.
Uh-huh.
You don't hear about I had a fender bender. Women have more wrecks.
Most definitely.
But they slow roll into something.
Uh-huh.
They hit a shopping cart. They drop a wheel off of a culvert going into a driveway or some little miscalculation judgment like that. We drive cars off cliffs.
Backwards.
No,
we get the backwards part.
How many cars have you totaled in your life?
I never totaled a car in my life. But my wife done totaled a couple. I never totaled a car.
Kevin the Boss Man says 1. Okay, that's interesting.
Never totaled a car. But my wife done totaled 3 at least. My wife that 3. I could think of since we've been.
Well, I rolled.
For what? Total? All my accidents been with animals. I never been in an accident with another person outside. If they reared me, that's a different story. But me causing an accident with someone never happened.
Never happened.
Huh? Oh, like you was about to hover. Like you was about to.
What happened? You hit a curb?
You backed the future the car.
Sideways? Yeah.
I backed the future.
Just flatten them right out.
You Marty McFly the car.
Marty McFly.
You Marty McFly.
Oh, those were cool too.
Just drive me home. I was like, here's the thing. I can't drive it. He's like, oh no. I'll be right there. That's the fastest I've seen him. His job was 45 minutes away. He got there in like 20 minutes.
He said, just drive it home. And you said, I can't drive it home. He said, oh.
Wow. The car is Marty McFly.
Yeah, but I think men, generally speaking, do more damage when we have a wreck.
Well, we have that need for speed.
We have that
I don't
need for
think
speed.
Women have.
And we're
that,
more
that
willing
gene
to take
for speed, a little bit more risk. Yeah. Best advice I can get, like my son, he's been driving, and the best advice I could honestly give him was with driving. It's a lot of nuances that come with driving that they don't teach you that you just gonna learn over time.
You have to. That's the only way to learn them.
Yeah, and then outside of that, the most safest thing you can do is just always keep distance between you and the car in front of you. That's the best advice I can give any new driver out there. Keep plenty of distance. If you think you far enough, back off another half that distance.
Give it a little bit more. Yeah,
give it a little bit more.
And you don't need to ride next to somebody.
Nope.
I was thinking about that on the way down here today. As a matter of fact, if you're beside somebody, either you should be passing them or they should be passing you.
Or they should be passing
but
you.
you shouldn't be riding beside somebody.
I can't stand we on the highway and 2 people just riding beside each other on a 2-lane road. And you're like, come on, I'm trying to get around you.
This is not.
I can't stand it.
Don't you hate it when you're on a road trip and you're in the right-hand lane, maybe you got your cruise set, and somebody comes up in the left-hand lane, and then they just shadow you right there beside you?
They just shadow, like, dude, go about your business.
I'll speed up a little bit.
They want to stay beside you.
Then they'll speed up a little bit and stay beside you, and then you slow down a bit, and then they slow back down. It's like, what are you doing? But they don't have their cruise on, and they're not really registering that. They're not doing it on purpose, I think. I think they just are, they see you, and it's monkey see, monkey do.
You ever been flipped off while driving?
Oh, for sure. I've done my share of flipping off.
I done my share of flipping off too, man.
Used to be.
I throw a bird quick, man.
I don't do it anymore.
You know what? I only throw it if they throw it at me first. I never initiated a bird at someone.
Oh no, I've done that a million times.
I never initiated the bird. But if you give me the finger,
My move
You
on
got
the
the
motorcycle,
finger coming right back at you.
my move on the bike used
Maybe
to be,
two.
if you did something stupid that I didn't like, and let's say you got in front of me, maybe you cut me off or whatever, I would ride up next to you, and I would lay a bird on your window. I would actually put my gloved hand as I'm riding, and I would hit it. I got armor in the gloves, of course, so it makes a noise if you hit their window, and I would hit the window with the back of my hand, and when they looked at it, it would be a bird pressed onto their window.
I would have act like I was merging over on your ass.
On a motorcycle?
On the motor, I would have merged you on the motor. I wouldn't have fully committed, but I would have scared you.
No, I was a hands-on kind of guy. I couldn't tell you how many times I busted somebody's side mirror.
I would have scared the hell out you.
Hit them with that armor glove. I busted a bunch of side mirrors out.
You was a menace to society on that thing.
I used to use it for. I used to get my aggression, my frustration out on the motorcycle for sure. Yep.
Take off on them. Catch me if you can.
I was on Bob Wallace Lane one time, and this guy cut me off on his. He sat right there on the side street until I was right there on him, and then pulls out right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
So as I came around him, I punched his side view mirror and broke it. You know, like I said, I got armor gloves on. I broke his side view mirror as I came around him, and then I realized there's a traffic light right there.
Oh, damn.
So I went ahead and stopped at the traffic light, and I'm watching him in my mirror, making sure, like I wasn't going to let him hit me, But I'm watching.
He's behind you?
He's behind me. Yeah, he comes up behind me at the traffic light, and I get stopped, and I'm watching to make sure he's not going to try and run me over or whatever, which he doesn't. And then I see his dome light come on, and I see him fishing in the glove box. I don't know what he was fishing for, but I
would have stood to find out.
I flipped my jacket up in the back where my gun would show.
Okay.
That's all I did was just flip my jacket up in the back where the gun would show, and I saw him kind of straighten up, and then he never got out of his. Nothing happened. I don't know if he was reaching for a gun and he saw mine and decided different or, whatever. Of course, now that having been said, had he gotten out with a gun, what I would have done was hauled ass. I would not have gotten into a gun. Don't get me wrong now. That was not going to happen. There's no way in the world I was getting in a gunfight with some kind of, what am I, Dirty Harry?
I just would have damn ran your ass off. I would have just hit you with the car. I would have took it to a gunfight.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to do something,
I would have just hit you with the damn car.
At least then you could pretend it might have been an accident or whatever. Yeah. Oops. Yeah. But he didn't do anything. Yeah, so.
Oops.
But I used to be bad too. I got a bad need for speed. Yeah.
It sounds like you've curved that need for speed.
I'm getting older.
Mm-hmm.
You know what it is? When I quit working for a living and when I first started Knox Handmade Toys, I made a sincere effort that I wanted to. It's crazy because I hear other people talking about it now, but I really looked around and took stock of my life and didn't like the person that I was. I really, I chose to take an objective look at who I was and what I represented, and I didn't like what I saw. And so, decided to make some changes, And a lot of that has been inward thinking, and a lot of it's been being honest with myself about who I really was and why it was. I kind of had to go back to childhood and unearth some things that were unpleasant, but had to find the root cause of why it was that I was this person, how it was I became this person that I didn't like. And and then when Madeline came along, those thoughts intensified because I wanted to be a better father than I was the first time around. And so, and so it's led to some measure of peace. I don't flip people off on the road anymore. But
you don't initiate the flip. Would you, if someone flipped you off, would you flip them back now?
Probably not. No,
you wouldn't even flip them back now.
Nah. I'm pretty chill
man,
now.
You're a bigger man than me.
I'm
still. You throw me a bird, I think I got it. It's only right I throw the bird back.
I think that's true. I agree that you have a right, but I just don't.
This quid pro quo over here.
Most of the time, I just laugh about it now.
Okay, you just have a little chuckle inside.
All right, I'm going to tell another quick story, and then I'm going to get off of the mic for a second. But this will illustrate the kind of person I am different. As you know, and as most people that know me know, it's hard to catch me without a gun.
Right.
And without a weapon of some kind, impossible. Always got something on me. I'm not looking for trouble.
Right.
I'm trying real hard to stay out of trouble. I just want to be ready in case it happens to me. I was at the camp one time.
Okay.
And I'd gone out to my van to get something. I can't remember what it was. And there was a young person, a young man, and 3 young women. And the young man, they were parked right next to my van. And the young man had the car door open against the side of my van. It was physically touching my van.
Okay.
Yeah, as he's getting in there, he just wasn't paying good attention. He opened his door on my van and then didn't give a crap that he had his door pressed on my van. And I came around the corner just as this happens, and I see it. And I address him about it. And he got quite angry. It was a defense mechanism. He's a young kid. I'm an old dude, whatever. He was black, and he made it about race. He called me a Can I say cracker? We won't say the N word. We can say
You
cracker.
can call
right?
yourself a cracker. Yeah,
There you go.
can
Yeah,
say
I didn't call myself that. That's what he called me. It wasn't none of that interaction.
Call
This was
yourself whatever you want.
I guess whatever. Hell, it's our show anyways, right? We say whatever the hell we want to say. If you don't like it, don't listen. Yeah, he called me a cracker, MFer, and all the things that a young man does when he's postured and trying to make himself seem like he's, this or that. And I just leaned against my van in a way that he couldn't open his door back onto my van anymore, and just kind of gave him a smirk. It was a smart ass smirk, but I wasn't,
Hold up. You got between the door and the van.
Yeah, just enough where he could get in. I wasn't threatening the guy.
Okay.
I wasn't in his space. I was just making sure he didn't hit my van with his door again, right? So then he gets in and closes the door, and for whatever reason, I instinctively took a step back towards the back of his car like a cop does when they come up to you. They kind of stand back. And as I did that, he reached into the pocket of the seat in front of him and pulled out a pistol. This was at the camp.
He pointed at you, or
year.
he just...
He did not point it at me. He pulled it out, and he laid it on his lap. But he had his hand on it, and his finger over the trigger guard. Not on the trigger, but finger over the trigger guard. I don't know that he knew that, but I pay attention to those things as a person who, if you deal with guns, you should pay... So, anyways, it was certainly an implicit threat, not implicit, explicit threat. But he didn't point the gun at me. But either way, I'm standing slightly behind him, and the side pillar of the car is in the way. For him to have pointed that gun on me, I could have had mine on him twice.
Right.
The way he would have had to twist it around would have been very, very difficult for him to put his gun on me, and I could have pulled mine out and shot him through the back of the window. I could have got him and all three girls in the car before they would have ever got me, just in the way I was standing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that moment, they say time slows down or whatever, it never really occurred to me I was going to shoot this kid. But if he'd have brought the gun around, I probably would have.
Yeah,
I would have had to.
Ass off.
Yeah, but I really wanted to step around the backside of the van and be done with it. But now what am I doing, And so I stood and let him, say his racial slurs or whatever, and they took off. And I never pulled my gun out of the waistband.
Mm-hmm.
What would have happened if I'd have shot the kid? I don't know.
You probably would be sitting here having this conversation.
Probably not.
I think so.
You think?
He pulled a gun on you.
It'd been my word against them three girls.
They would have definitely found a gun in the car.
And I'm a 51-year-old white guy.
Oh yeah, you would have slid with it, Shane.
Young black women. You think I would have slid?
Yeah, you would have slid just off that principle alone.
I don't know, but I tell you this: forget about whether I would have slid or not.
They probably would have gave you a Nobel Peace Prize.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
He sounded like a very unsavory character. They probably would have been happy he was gone.
Probably. But maybe he just needed a break. I don't know, man. I'm philosophical about that kind of thing. I can tell you this. Here's what I can tell you. Now, sitting here having this conversation, regardless of the legal implications, I'm glad I didn't watch that boy's brains get blown out on the back.
Most definitely.
I'm so glad I didn't. I'm so glad.
I'm being silly.
And had that same situation happen when I was 25, I would have probably thought that it was almost my responsibility. Oh, he got a gun on me. He ain't gonna do. Ain't nobody gonna do that to me. And now I realize. I'm sure glad I ain't never shot anybody. I'm sure glad I didn't shoot that kid. I'm sure glad he didn't bring that gun around, because if he had, I probably would have shot him.
I think young people are more apt to use the firearm than an older person.
Too.
I think with a little bit more logic behind them, and experience.
And you know what else?
Young people scare me.
And you know what else?
They don't scare me, but I mean,
yeah, but they do scare me.
Young people they don't think.
They're unpredictable.
They're unpredictable, and they don't think long term. I don't think they have the mental capacity or mental fortitude to even try to see the big picture before they just act. And I'm talking young people.
For sure.
What do you think this guy's 20 years old, 21?
Early 20s, yeah.
Early 20s,
Might have been 19. Hell, it's hard to tell nowadays. I don't know.
Yeah. You still wet behind the ears,
And there's no way he's thinking about, what if he'd have shot me in that parking lot?
Correct.
It definitely would not have gone good for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, in the end, I'm glad it happened that way.
Well, they call them crash outs now.
Crash outs?
A crash out.
What does that mean?
That means you just crash out. Like any little thing will set you off.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you will crash out.
He's probably been told his whole life that the white man is his enemy. He's probably...
In 2024?
For sure. You don't think there's black men out there that are taught how the white man is their enemy?
No.
No,
not at all. We don't got to be told that. We witness it.
That's fucked up.
But in 2024, I think it's a little bit different. Like far as my kids' upbringing, my kids have been in school and classrooms with more white people than they have black people. Especially when we lived in Missouri. Most of my oldest son, all his classes he'll be the only black person in his class for years.
That's got to be tough.
You know, maybe.
I don't know.
But I'm saying he hasn't witnessed the racial profiling and racial injustice that I've witnessed.
Give me an example.
Growing up in the 90s. I'm just walking down the street. Some white guys roll by me, yell the N-road and throw a Coke on me. That's something mild. But it's something that I've experienced.
Do you think that experience is, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it exclusive to your race?
Most definitely. Just being racial profiled.
So if I gave
cops.
you examples of me having been racially profiled by black people, would that make an impact? Because it most certainly has happened to me.
So it does happen to both of us.
For sure.
Two things can be true. Two can be the same.
Sure.
You know.
But that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes it's easy to think that these kind of things only happen to people like me.
Mm-hmm.
And for the sake of this conversation, I think a lot of black people think that they're the only ones that are the brunt of racial discrimination.
But typically,
and
racial discrimination is coming from when we say somebody racial discriminated against us. Like we, a lot of nuance to racial discrimination.
Of course,
that'd be hard to put into words.
True.
You know, like you feel it.
Like
when
I was the only white person on a black basketball team, and
right?
Felt like I had to play twice as good to be able to get a spot.
There you go.
My only point is that I think that's part of all the human experience, and I think that if people are ever going to come together, Rodney King, why can't we all get along? If we're all going to get along,
I was talking about that the other day.
Were you really?
That damn L.A. rise where Rodney King got his ass whooped.
That whole thing is a messed up situation.
Oh man.
Regardless of what he did, though, I mean, when we saw the video.
Yeah, he got his ass whooped.
He got his ass whooped, and they say he kept getting up and running towards him or whatever,
and he got paid too.
He got paid like
I would have took that ass whoop for whatever he got paid.
And then he got himself back in jail a couple times after that too.
Yeah. But that don't make it right.
It don't make it right.
That don't make it right.
No. I am not condoning that.
Yeah. They burnt L.A. down for that one.
That's. I mean, well, like
or whatever, wherever they was at.
It's like George Floyd. George Floyd was not in the right.
No,
but he didn't deserve to be killed. He didn't deserve to get murdered in the street.
With the George Floyd, I mean, we could have picked a better person to get up in arms over.
Good point, but he was straight murdered in the street.
George Floyd, drug addict, robbing people, slapping hoes, whatever he was doing.
And we saw the video of the interaction before the cop killed him.
Yeah.
But that cop killed him.
I think George Floyd was just like the spark that ignited it all. We was already putting a lot of fuel on the fire. And then the whole George Floyd just took it over the top, and that's why we got to where we were at,
To me, George Floyd is the perfect example because this is an unsavory character.
Oh, very unsavory.
But the society that we live in should at least treat even the most unsavory characters in a non-lethal way at minimum. And I don't think that anybody's life was being threatened by George Floyd during that situation. Those cops had that well under control.
The cop went to jail, but I think they've... I'm gonna talk out the side of my neck. I don't know the full details because I don't care enough about George Floyd
and none of us do.
To really research him. I just know he was a drug addict.
Sure.
He wasn't a good person, black or white.
So I'm in Atlanta weekend before last, trying to get a steak.
Okay.
I go into Longhorns.
I heard this story.
Yeah, I told this off the podcast, but now I'll tell it on the podcast. But I'll go into the Longhorns to get me a steak, and there's no tables waiting, but there's a high top at the bar available. So I go sit down at the high top at the bar, and I get a menu. Mm-hmm. I make sure I look interested. I sat there for 30 minutes. I sat there for 20 minutes, and nobody approached me, not a glass of water.
That's a long time to sit there.
It's a long time. So
without nobody even saying,
not
I'll be
one
right
word,
with you.
Not a glass of water. I'm sorry, we're busy, sir. Nothing like this. I'm steady seeing waitresses.
The place is busy, though.
Place is busy. Steady seeing wait staff coming in and out of the kitchen. Mm-hmm. After 20 minutes, I go over to the person taking to-go orders on the phone, who seems very nice, by the way.
Okay.
Sir, I've been sitting here. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll say something and get a server to come over there when you can. I said, I'm not trying to, whatever. I know you guys are busy, but when you can, if you could mention to somebody that I'm here, I'd like to have my order taken. 10 minutes later, after not having spoken to anybody at all, nobody came by, nothing, I left the restaurant. Mm-hmm. So 30 minutes total, and the only speech I had with anybody was the maitre d' at the beginning when I asked if I could sit at that high top
who
of
at the
bar.
beginning?
The maitre d'.
What's that?
The hostess. What do you call it?
Okay, the host.
It's not really a maitre d' at Longhorns, but that person and the person that I approached
I didn't know that's
and
what
asked
you
for
called
some
them.
service.
The maitre d'.
Maitre d'. Well, that's different than the host. I suppose.
I'm sorry. I'm just
a maitre d' is it's a shit, man. Now you put me on the spot. That's the person who facilitates guest services.
okay.
If you need something, especially out of the ordinary, the maitre d' is the person you might see.
Okay, I learned something.
And in a fancy restaurant, especially, like you might want to get like if you want somebody to call you a cab, that might be the maitre d'. At a fancy place or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. And a fancy hotel, a maitre d' can get you concert tickets or, reservation. But I tell that whole story about Longhorns to say, whether or not this had anything to do with it, I don't know. But I was the only white person in the place.
The only one.
Well, I mean, I didn't get up and do a survey.
But from what you could see, you were the only white guy in the place.
I was the only white person in the place.
So you think they didn't serve you because you've been the white guy?
I'm not willing to make that leap. But if you...
black.
I had a clicker like one of those baseball things,
Right.
I know Othello board, and I turned the keys over. Whether or not
the obvious thing was you were the only white guy.
That was the obvious thing. Now I don't think it's fair for me to say that every single person in here was a racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you say the whole damn restaurant is racist against white people? But my point is simply that it goes both ways.
Almost definitely.
It goes more than two ways. If you get somewhere outside of the South where there's more racists involved, it goes to all different races.
I'm not saying that white people can't be racially profiled or have some racial injustice towards them, but I would say, from my experience, in most cases, it comes down to black people being the ones that's having the racial issues with the white person. And let's say this. It's called race because it's an actual race. So if you look at the actual race, say we're a foot race. If you look at the actual race,
the black guy wins. I'm sorry. I know how that story is right there. Come on, man.
Well, we all know that's true.
I mean,
no allows, Hussein Bolt. But if you look at just the race, when it comes to just races, people, white people are winning the race. I think that's why it's more pronounced when it's an injustice from a white person on a black person, as opposed to black people being racial to white people. It's easier to point up, in this case than it is to, when you point down on us, now you look like the bad guy when the white person does it.
I was just saying, I think it's getting better though.
That's what in 2024 is getting way better.
Oh, for sure. Regardless of how you look at it,
that's why I said this young guy
now than they ever have been.
Correct. When you say this young guy, I've been taught that white people have been whatever to him his whole life. I'm like, nah, he was probably born in 2002. I'm like,
there's still a lot of places where that's being taught.
We starting to get cleaned up. My kids, they probably won't even know about slavery.
But your kids,
unless I tell them,
your kids,
my kids,
But your kids grew up with a health plan.
Mm-hmm.
This kid probably grew up in the projects. And I imagine in the projects, they're still blaming it all on the white man.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
If I had to guess.
And I think I'm going to say this. I grew up in the, ghetto. I'm not saying that we never had a roof. We went hungry at night. That's not the case. But we grew up lacking a lot of things. All my interactions with white people growing up was negative.
Really?
All of them. I didn't start having positive interactions with white people until I joined the military. So I would say growing up as a kid, I did not like white people.
It's interesting because when I grew up, all of my interactions with black people were positive. I can't think of a negative interaction that I had with a black person until I moved to the South. And when I moved to the South was when I realized that a lot of black people didn't like white people. I didn't know that was a thing.
Maybe because they grew up like me.
Sure, yeah. I'm not. I can't judge motives.
I've just said I can't think of one positive. Only positive interaction I can think I had with a white person was a math teacher I had, and that lady really tried to help me the most she could. And this was in elementary school. Outside of that, I can't think of no other positive interaction with white people. Not saying that I didn't encounter white people growing up, But in my neighborhood, we were all black. We all looked the same.
Right.
Only time you saw the white person if it was the police or a crackhead coming to buy some drugs. That's the only time you saw white people in my neighborhood.
But then by the time you got into school, surely that was integrated. Did you go to an all-black school?
No. I
Okay.
didn't. But still, you segregated in school. I hung around all black people. White people hung around all white people.
But you're
I don't think it's so much like it is now.
But you're saying even during that time in school, growing up all through school, you never had one positive interaction with a white person, even in school.
Not that I can think of. Not one that I can think of. Nothing that was pronounced. Every time the interactions I can remember, white people always been negative. And not saying that it wasn't negative because I was probably in the wrong, and it was probably they were just doing their job, making corrections.
Where was this?
Georgia. I grew up in Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Cobb County.
Cobb County, Georgia. So it's the South.
Sure.
And
that was pretty much very much the South. Even
very, very much the South. You got to think I grew up in the 90s,
Yeah.
So.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. But I love white people now, man. Shout out my white folks out there listening.
Shout out white people.
Shout out white people. As an adult,
Sure.
Look, hey, white people have helped me out just as much as any black person has helped me out as an adult.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It sounds silly, or everybody says it, but I think there's good people and bad people of every pick.
And
I whether it's color or race or gender.
And I think a good way, something that I learned that I think everyone should hear and take to heart is, just because you're my color don't mean you my kind.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
You white folks, Shane. But guess what? We just alike. We kinfolk. Even though you white folk, we kinfolk.
I feel the same way, 100%.
I'm black folk, but
I would stand up for you way before I would some white folks. I know that's for damn sure.
Exactly, and I think that's one thing people. I think that just comes with maturity.
Yeah,
learning.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Just because you're my color don't mean you're my kind.
But the other thing that I think it comes from, and I've been trying to figure out a way to bring this into this conversation, and this is probably as good a place as any. Part of it comes from these conversations,
right?
Just like what we're doing now. Q and I have known each other for a long time. We have a lot of real deep conversations, so it doesn't ever get tense between us. But this could be a tense conversation between two people that didn't know each other as well, maybe.
Oh, yeah. But
if you don't ever have the tense conversation and have it like grown-ups, but if you push it under the rug and you never talk about it, I'm having to wrap my head around the fact that as a child you had so many negative interactions with white people in general.
Oh, yes.
Because I think, how could that not help but, I was going to say color your experience. Of course it colored your experience, pun intended. That's going to change the way you think about people. I know a guy who's 20 years older than me. We may have him on the podcast at some time, who grew up here in the 60s.
He's what, 70s?
Early 70s. Yeah, early 70s. He grew up here in Alabama in the 60s.
Wow.
When race riots were happening quite a bit. He graduated from Butler High School. And in the 60s, Butler High School was rough. It was integrated and nobody liked it. Nobody was happy about it. And they had to try and figure out a way to get along. And these are teenage kids. They fought a lot. And he's told me stories about racial fights that he both witnessed and was involved in. I don't know just exactly, it's easy to say I wouldn't do that, but I was never there, so I don't know. But his experience has very much been colored by what he saw as a teenager, and it was very much an us against them mentality between the races at that time. And I can, I don't necessarily agree with all his views, but he's grown and tried hard to put those kind of attitudes behind him. Some things are hard to just get out of. And for you to have had such a negative experience in general with white people as a young person, that's hard. No matter how much you intellectually distance yourself from that, that's going to be hard to get out of your culture. That's ingrained in who you are.
You don't got no choice. You put me in a room full of white boys when I joined the military.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I joined the military, so quick story. When I joined the military, once I got basic training, my tech school, I get stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base.
Yep. I remember that. Yeah.
I'm in a 90.
We made jokes about it.
So look, think about these numbers. I'm in a 90-man shop. Out of the 90 people in my shop where I work every day, only 3 of them are black. And I'm one of them. And then the other black guy, he was QA. So you only see him like once a week.
Okay.
And then the other black guy worked on the other side. So I'm around white men.
Right.
All day, every day. You start to realize, They just people just like me.
People are people.
People are people.
Do you think you would be as comfortable around white people now had you not been in the military and been forced to be exposed to that level of that ratio of?
No, I wouldn't be.
Okay.
That grew me. That forced me to grow. I can go all day without seeing other white in the Midwest, in Warrensburg, Noster. I can go a whole day without seeing another black person outside of my family,
Right?
My wife and kids. I can go all day. So imagine that for years.
For years, you just learn to get along.
You learn to get along. You learn to accept people for who they are, and just realize that they're just everyday people, just like me, trying to get by, trying to make a living.
My father was in Vietnam. We've talked about this privately. My father was in Vietnam, and when you're fighting for your life, it doesn't matter what color the person.
It don't matter what color.
It doesn't matter. And so I was raised with that mentality that that I never. Everybody says they never had a racist bone in their body, but I really don't believe I ever was exposed to. I didn't even understand how it could be a possibility the way I grew up.
I bet Vietnam changed your father when it came to black people.
Oh, I do believe that because I do know that his father carried some racist tendencies.
I'm pretty sure some of that probably bled over into him.
I imagine
growing
so.
up until he joined the military and realized.
And I think the military, that's
the
exactly
military
it.
really changes you and gives you a different perspective and a little bit more insight on other races,
which I think is one of the biggest reasons why it's so important to get out of your little bubble.
Correct.
Because in your bubble, like you said, where you grew up, everybody looked like you.
Everybody looked like me.
Where I grew up, I grew up in a very conservative religious environment, as you guys know. So anybody that I was allowed to be exposed to thought like this religious group did. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is that is the norm for you, get outside of that enough to accept another perspective as valid.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Get outside of your own comfort bubble enough to experience other things, and who knows what you may learn.
Right.
And have these conversations. Be respectful.
It's tough to have these conversations.
It is. And we all run into each other in these corporate environments that forbids these conversations.
Oh, yeah.
You can't have these conversations.
Somebody and lose your damn job.
And so what happens is you spend 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week at a corporate job that forbids you from having open conversations like these, and that bleeds over into your personal life. So even when you socialize with a person who you work with that's of another race, you wouldn't dare have these kind of real conversations, because when it goes back to the workplace, that may be a problem for you.
Or they might be like,
so you smile.
Q's a racist.
Or Q's a racist.
He didn't like white people.
Or Shane's a racist.
He didn't like white growing up. He didn't like white people.
Yeah.
That's not, you missed the whole conversation.
You didn't hear but you can't have these conversations in a corporate environment. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the biggest harm that corporations do to our country. It's a curtailing of free speech. Free speech doesn't mean you can just say the F word. Free speech means you're allowed to explore concepts that may seem unpleasant or that may be difficult. Like, why is it in 2024 we still have people who even are concerned about another person's race? There's no such thing as colorblind. I'm always going to see that you're black and I'm white. Our kids are going to grow up together and they're going to know that they're of a different race, but hopefully it won't matter.
Our kids
going
to change the world. My kids,
they're going to change the world. Oh, for sure.
Oh, my goodness. They're amazing.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of the biases that I grew up with.
Yep.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. They're going to be better than we are.
Way better.
Yep.
Probably way better off, too.
Mr. Producer Man says, we've been talking for too long. Maybe just the right amount.
If I said it once, I said it 1,000 times. It feel like we just sat down. Yeah. It
really does feel like we just sat down. I came into the night pretty tired.
I said 1,000 times.
It's amazing.
I
learn something every week.
Yeah.
I truly learn something
every week.
I've learned something new about you every week. You, sir, are a multifaceted person.
You learned that a crackhead was in love with me.
A crackhead in love with me. Wow. All right, Q, in 60 seconds or less.
Okay.
What you got?
You want to hear something your dad should have taught you, or you want to hear something that's like personal development?
I'm extending your time frame out to 90 seconds so you can give me a little of both. Come on, man. Come on. First of all, what my father
Why
should have told
choose
me.
one when you can have both?
There
Shane?
you go.
Why
It's
choose
like a double mint go commercial. You
right,
know what I'm saying? You
right.
get-
Choose one when you can have two.
First, what your father should have taught you.
Oh man. Okay. This goes out to all the men out there. Always choose the girl that likes you over the girl you like.
That's good. That's great, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's amazing.
Choose the girl that likes you
Over the girl you like.
over the girl you like.
I'm not going to even expound on
You
it.
don't need to. Chew on that, gentlemen.
Chew on that, guys.
Ladies,
This is something your dad should have taught you.
ladies, listen to that one more time. I'm not going to tell you how to feel about it, but I want you to listen to it as well.
Run it
That's
back.
good, brother. That's good, Q.
Choose the girl that likes you over the girl you
Over
like.
the girl that you like. Girls, stop trying to be. Just think about it. All right?
Yeah, don't. Yeah. Let
Things
him
your
choose.
father should have taught you.
That's things your dad should have taught you.
All right, man. Now give me some words of wisdom.
All right, personal development. This goes out to anyone listening. On your job, people want to do a good job. They want to work hard, and I'm not saying don't do that. But always work on yourself harder than you work on your job. Because if you can, let's say 3 times or 5 times your personal value, you can 3 to 5 times your income. That's all I got.
This is Vendor Chronicles.
Vendor Chronicles.
Peace.
Peace.
Hey.